Thank you guys for coming to this soul session. I am your brother Yaakov, who is a student of Torah and who studies Talmud. And today's segment is called Ben Sora Umoreh, the rebellious son. We hear this a lot in the Torah in Deuteronomy 21:18-21. It talks about a child who doesn't listen to their parents, who gets drunk, who eats too much, and who is put to death. Luckily, I'm happy that the law does not apply to us today, because then we will all be stoned. I've done all these things when I was a teenager numerous of times, and I'm glad we are given many chances and we don't live like the old days. Let's dive a little deeper in the Gemara, the Talmud, in the Sanhedrin 75:1. The Gemara exact verse says, there was an incident in which a certain man set his eyes upon a certain woman, and his heart became obsessed with her, and he fell dangerously ill. They came and asked the doctors, how could he be cured? And the doctors replied, there is no remedy for him unless she cohabits with him. Concerning this case, the sages rule, it is better that he should die and let her not cohabit with him. Two alternative suggestions were then offered, but each was rejected. Let her stand before him naked. Perhaps that alone would appease him. The sages ruled, it is better that he should die and let her not stand before him naked. Let her then converse with him from behind a barrier. Perhaps that would appease him. The sages ruled, it is better that he should die and let her not converse with him from behind a barrier. The Gemara comments on the martial status of the woman in the above incident. One said the woman was married and thus forbidden to the victim, and the other one said she was unmarried, but nevertheless the sages forbade her from even talking to the man. The Gemara analyzes the two views. It is understandable according to the one who said that the woman was married, for one must indeed give his life rather than keep company with a married woman. But according to the one who said the woman was unmarried, what was the reason for all these stringencies? Why indeed did the sages forbid the aforementioned remedies? The Gemara answers, Rav Papa said, the sages did not allow it because of disgrace to the woman's family. Another explanation, the sages did not allow it so that the daughters of Israel should not be immodest in matters of intimacy. My rabbi from Vegas explained that this son was overly obsessed with this girl, and he had a sickness, clearly. This reminds me of a stalker or a creep. I would not want my daughter around this person. This shows how the Talmud wants to protect the women from men like these. How can we apply this to today? So I asked the rabbi, if he can give me an example. He said, the example of how there are many fans who are so overly obsessed with celebrities. There's, like, for example, Taylor Swift. Everybody loves her. And she's very attractive, I'm not gonna lie. You have fans that are stalking them at a restaurant where they live, which is really creepy. That if they don't even get a picture with this person, they'll go nuts. There's a tragic story in the Gemara, actually the Torah, where it talks about a sad, tragic story of Dinah, who is one of the children of Yaakov. In Genesis, Bereshit 34:1-2 says, Dinah, the daughter of Leah, whom she bore to Yaakov, went out to see the daughters of the land. Shechem, the son of Hamor, the Hivite, and the prince of the land, saw her, and he kidnapped her, and lay with her, and afflicted her. Simon and Levi heard the news, and were shocked. They were hurt. They went to rescue Dinah from this evil man, who was also overly obsessed with her, and they took out the whole people of that land. And Yaakov had no idea of this plot. A story I shared with my rabbi that is very similar to the Gemara that it made me think of. I know a story of a girl back in Chicago who was involved in the place she worshiped. She prayed and read. And there was a new guest in the congregation. Everyone felt that there was something off of this person, so they distanced themselves from him. She felt so bad for him, so she became friends with him so he wouldn't be alone. But down deep inside, this man was overly obsessed with her by her beauty. In real life, she was a model. He would manipulate her by saying if she doesn't date him, then he will kill himself. By the way, she never had a boyfriend. She was very vulnerable and innocent and thought she was doing the right thing by dating him. Then after a couple months later, he kidnapped her on a road trip where she had no idea where she was going. He said, if you don't stay with me on the road, I will kill myself. She had it up to here. There's something in her, or her intuition told her she should run away. And she did. This is the extreme version of someone who is overly obsessed, who's toxic, who always wants control. What I like to call it, that person sounds cray-cray, like crazy. Now let's talk about the Tanakh, the Bible. There's a famous story of lusting. 2 Samuel 11:2-8. One evening, King Melech, David, got up from his bed and walked around the roof of the palace. From there, he saw a woman bathing. That woman was very beautiful. David sent someone to find out about her. The man said her name is Bathsheba, the daughter of Elon, the wife of Uriah the Hittite. Then he sent messengers to get her, and she came to him, and he slept with her and became pregnant. At the end, David orchestrated for the death of the husband by sending him to battle to die, which was a terrible thing to do if you think about it. Now, according to the Gemara, Jewish soldiers at that time that went to war would get divorced with their partner. They will automatically be divorced. So technically, David didn't commit adultery, but I still think him sending his commander to go in the front line to battle to die, which is not right. The prophet Nathan confronts David with a parable, or mashal. There were two men in one city, one rich and one poor. The rich man had many flocks and herds, but the poor man had nothing, save one little lamb which he had brought and nourished. And it grew up together with him and his children, and it ate of his bread and drank of his wine, or his cup. and lay in his bosom, and was to him as a daughter. And there came a traveler to the rich man, and he spared to take out of his own flock and of his own herd to dress for the wayfaring man that has come to him, but took the poor man's lamb and dressed it for the man that was to come to him. David, after hearing this parable, was angry with this rich man of how cruel he was and wanted him to be put to death. The prophet Nathan said to David, "You are the man." It's amazing because a lot of time our mentors, our parents, when they correct us, they yell at us or scold at us. But sometimes there's always different ways to communicate with our students, with our peers. And I like what Nathan did. He did it in a way where he made King David reflect on his errors, on his mistake. And he realized on his own that he made a sin. In conclusion, for envy brings one to lust. For when a man does not take to heart what others have, he does not lust. But when his heart is drawn on, and he envies what others have, he covets and desires. From the Ways of the Decided King. 2 books I recommend about self-help called Reflection on the Art of Living by Joseph Campbell. 2 quotes that stood out to me. If you marry only for the love affair, that would not last. When seeking your partner, if your intuition is a virtuous one, you will find him or her. If not, you will keep finding the wrong person.